Hello students, I am your educator Dr. Hina Devnani and today we are going to discuss on chapter number 8 of 11th standard, that is cell, the unit of life. First of all, let us see what is a cell. A cell is a structural and functional unit of life. Why it is called as the structural unit of life? Because the cell is responsible for creating the structure of a living organism. Cells can also be considered as building blocks of living organism. All the living organisms are composed of cells. This we have seen in first chapter. Cells make the whole body of a living organism. That's why they are called as structural unit of living organism. Why they are called as functional unit? Because cells are responsible for carrying out all the functions in a living organism. This sentence we have seen already. All the living organisms are composed of cells. Now, the living organisms are divided into two types. If they have a single cell, that means the whole body is made up of only one cell, these organisms are called as unicellular organisms. And the organisms who have more than one cells, like us, like humans, they are considered as multicellular organisms. You can see here two images are there. These images are of cells. Here you can see the cell membrane and here there is a nucleus. If we talk about unicellular organisms, we know that their body is made up of only a single cell. That means there is no division of labor. Like multicellular organism have different tissues, different organs for performing different functions. But unicellular organism do not have these organs. They have only one single cell. And their single cell is capable of independent existence. It can exist independently. Moreover, this single cell can also perform all the essential functions of life, like breathing, digestion, excretion, reproduction, etc. Anything that is less than a complete structure of cell does not ensure independent living. For example, virus. When virus is outside the body of a living organism, virus is considered as a non-living structure because it is acellular. This we have discussed in first chapter. It is not having a cell. So when it is outside, it is a non-living thing. Right? So anything that is less than a complete structure of cell, that cannot be considered as a living organism. Here in this slide, you can see name of some scientists are given and their role is given in the discovery of cell. The first cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. He observed the cells of cork in a primitive microscope. The microscope was not well developed like today, but it was a primitive microscope in which he observed the cells of cork. When he saw that through the slide, through the microscope, when he saw the slide, he saw some hexagonal and pentagonal structures. These were actually the cell walls. Because the cells of cork were dead, he was not able to see the nucleus or the cytoplasmic components. So he just saw the walls. And when he saw the walls, he compared it to a cell. What is a cell actually? In previous times, a cell was considered as a room which is enclosed by some walls, a four wall, like a jail. A jail is considered as a cell. So from that name, he compared it, and this thing that he was seeing in the microscope looked like small rooms that were covered with walls. Five, six walls were there. A pentagonal or a hexagonal structure was there. And that's why he gave the term cell. So he was the one who actually discovered a cell. But this cell was a dead cell. Who was the first one who observed a living cell? It was Anton van Leeuwenhoek. He saw and described the first living cell. Robert Brown was a scientist who discovered nucleus. And after these discoveries, Sledin and Swan, these were the two scientists. Sledin was a botanist. Botanist means a person who studied plants, and Swan was a zoologist who studied animals. They both independently gave rise to cell theory. We'll see it later. What is cell theory? First of all, let us see some points of cell theory. We have seen this already. Cell theory was formulated by Sledin and Swan. When they formulated cell theory, it looked a bit incomplete. So another scientist named Rudolf Virchow came forward and he explained that new cells develop from pre-existing cells by cell division. He said that life comes from existing life, or we can also call it as omnis cellula e cellula. That means cells arise from pre-existing cells. There are some exceptions of this cell theory. These are virus and viroids. Because they do not have a cell, each and every living organism who has a cell follow this cell theory, except virus and viroids. Now, what is this cell theory? The first point of cell theory is all living organisms are composed of cells and product of cells. Cell is the structural unit of life. And third important point, all cells arise from pre-existing cells. These are the three important points of cell theory, and this was given by Sledin, Swan, and Rudolf Virchow. Remember these three names as well as these three points of cell theory. Along with this, you also have to remember this, the exception of cell theory. Cell size and shape. Smallest known cell till now is the cell of mycoplasmas, or you can also call it as PPLO, that is pleuropneumonia-like organisms. Here, this is the cell of a mycoplasma. The largest known cell is the cell or the egg of an ostrich. This is the egg of an ostrich. Smallest cell in the human body is RBC, red blood cells. And the largest cell in human body is the ovum or the egg cell. Longest cell in human body is nerve cell. Even the shape of cells may vary with the functions they perform. You can see here itself. See, this is nerve cell, an elongated cell having so many processes. This is red blood cell. It is a biconcave disc-shaped cell. You can see the shape. And this is an ovum. It is a spherical shape. Similarly, muscle cells are spindle shape. Then there are WBCs, which have different types of shapes. It is a poly-shaped like structure. So the structure of cells or the shape of cells vary with the functions they perform. We have different types or different shapes of cells in our body. Now there are two main types of cells in living organisms, that is prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. Organisms having prokaryotic cells are considered as prokaryotic organisms, and the organisms having eukaryotic cells are considered as eukaryotic organisms. Now what is this prokaryotic and eukaryotic? Pro means primitive, karyo means nucleus. So the cells which have a primitive nucleus or not well defined or well developed nucleus are called as prokaryotic cells. And the cells which have a well defined, U means new, well defined, karyo means nucleus. So the cells which have well defined nucleus are called as eukaryotic cells. Let us see the points. Prokaryotic cells, they lack a membrane bound nucleus. That means a nucleus is present, but it is not well developed and it is not having a membrane. Whereas in eukaryotic cell, membrane bound nucleus is present. Prokaryotic cell also lack all the membrane bound organelles, whereas eukaryotic cell has membrane bound organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi bodies, plastids, and lysosomes. Here in this video, we are going to deal with prokaryotic cell. Now, prokaryotic cell is nothing but the cell of a bacteria, and these are divided into 4 types based on their shapes. If the cell is rod shaped, the bacteria is called as bacillus, plural is bacilli. If the cell is spherical in shape, it is called as coccus or cocci. If the cell is comma shaped, it is called as vibrio or vibrium. Vibrium is the singular word and vibrio is the plural word. And if the cell is spiral shaped, it is called as spirillum. So 4 different shapes are given here and the names of these cells are given here. Now if we talk about the basic structure of prokaryotes, it is divided into 3 parts. First part is cell envelope. Second part is cytoplasm. Cytoplasm consists of some cell organelles, but remember these are not double membrane bound. Then inclusion bodies. Then there is naked genetic material. Why the genetic material is naked? Because it is not having a membrane. Genetic material forms the nucleus, and here this is prokaryote, so they do not have a nucleus or they do not have a membrane surrounding the nucleus. So here we can say that the genetic material is naked, or they have naked genomic DNA. Cell envelope is again divided into 3 parts: glycocalyx, cell wall, and plasma membrane. The outermost structure is glycocalyx, middle there is cell wall, and the innermost structure is the plasma membrane. Glycocalyx is again divided into 2 types. These are the 2 types. If the glycocalyx is a loose sheath, it is called as slime layer. And if the glycocalyx is thick and tough, it is called as capsule. Here you can see the structure of a typical prokaryotic cell. See, this is rod shaped, so we can say this is a bacillus. Okay, here rod shaped structure is given. See the three layers. Outer layer is the capsule, which is also called as the outer layer is the glycocalyx, which is called as capsule or slime layer. Middle layer is the cell wall, and the inner layer is the plasma membrane. Here you can see cytoplasm. It is also called as cytosol. This is the nucleus, but here it is not membrane bound, so it is not a well developed nucleus. And here we are not going to use the term nucleus. Instead of that, we'll use nucleoid. This is the nucleoid, that is a nucleus without a membrane with naked DNA. Here you can see some outgrowths are there, some rectangular outgrowths are there. These outgrowths are called as pili. Inside you can see small rounded bodies. These are ribosomes. Some large round bodies are also present, which are called as food granules. And here you can see a tail-like structure. This tail-like structure is actually responsible for motility of the cell. And this tail-like structure is called as flagella. One by one we'll see all these things. First of all, let us see cell wall. What is the function of cell wall? It is responsible for determining the shape of the cell. It is also responsible for providing a structural support, a strong structural support. Cell wall prevents the cell, bacterial cell, from bursting or collapsing. It has same functions like that of a plant cell. Plant cell is also having a cell wall and the functions are almost the same. Then when we talk about plasma membrane is also similar in structure with that of eukaryotes. It is a semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable means it allows only the solvent to pass through it. It is structurally similar to that of eukaryotes. The eukaryotic plasma membrane and the prokaryotic plasma membrane are structurally same. So when we study about the plasma membrane in eukaryotes, we can study the plasma membrane in prokaryotes also. So we'll be studying it later. When we come inside the cell of a prokaryote, there are some different kinds of bodies. First is mesosome. Let us see what are these mesosomes. These are formed by the extensions of plasma membrane inside the cell. These are actually ingrowths of the plasma membrane. They are either present in the form of vesicles or tubules, or they are present in the form of lamellae. They help in cell wall formation, they help in DNA replication and the distribution of this DNA to the daughter cells. They are also responsible for respiration, for some secretion processes. They are actually responsible for increasing the surface area of plasma membrane so that plasma membrane can carry out its function sufficiently. These are also responsible for increasing the enzymatic content of the cell. So mesosomes are very important bodies that are present only in prokaryotic cells. They are not present in the eukaryotic cells. Now again here we divide bacteria into two types based on the differences in cell wall. They have cell wall, but these cell wall are a bit different. In some organisms or in some bacteria, the cell wall is capable of accepting a stain called as Gram stain. This is a stain, a dye, which is responsible for coloring or viewing the cells in a microscope in a colored way, okay, to provide color to the cells. So if the bacteria accepts this Gram stain, or if the bacterial wall accepts this Gram stain, these bacteria are called as Gram positive bacteria. And some bacteria do not take up this Gram stain, so they are called as Gram negative bacteria. So we have seen the classification of bacteria in two ways. Either on the basis of their shape, there are 4 different classes of bacteria based on their shape, or on the basis of differences in cell wall. So there are two different classes based on the differences in cell wall. Now let's see the other structures that are present in a prokaryotic cell. Other structures are chromatophores. Chroma means color. Chromatophores are colored components. They contain pigments. They are also membranous extensions into the cytoplasm. Same like mesosomes, they are present in cyanobacteria. Next is flagella. Flagella is the tail-like structure that is present outside a bacterial cell. Flagella are responsible for motility, so they are present in motile cells. They are filamentous extensions from their cell wall, and they are composed of three parts: filament, hook, and basal body. Filament is actually the tail part that we see in a cell. Hook is the connection of the filament and the cell. Basal body is present inside the bacterial cell, which forms the filament. Then there are pili and fimbriae. Pili are elongated tubular structures. Fimbriae are small bristle-like fibers. Both of these are present outside the surface of a bacteria. Their main role is attachment of the bacteria. They are also responsible for the conjugation activity in a bacteria. Then inside the bacterial cell, ribosomes are present. Ribosomes are associated with the plasma membrane of the cell because endoplasmic reticulum is not present here. So these ribosomes are associated with the plasma membrane. Ribosomes are made up of two subunits, 50S and 30S units. And when these two units are present together, they form 70S. Don't get confused here. 50 and 30 together form 80. But here we are not going to write 80. We'll be writing 70S. What is this S and all? That I'll tell you when we'll do ribosomes in eukaryotic cell. Ribosomes are responsible for protein synthesis. They are the main site of protein synthesis where RNA can be translated to form proteins. Now, if ribosomes combine together, many ribosomes combine together along with mRNA to translate mRNA into protein, they form a body which is called as polysome or polyribosome. See, this is the structure of a ribosome. This is the large subunit of ribosome. This is the smaller subunit of a ribosome, 50S and 30S. When they both combine together, they form 70S. This is the whole unit of a ribosome. When ribosomes combine together along with mRNA, which is responsible for translation, they form a body which is called as polysome. Here you can see what is polysome. Then the cell of a bacteria have some inclusion bodies. These inclusion bodies are responsible for storage of reserve material. Mostly they are present for the storage of food material. These are not membrane bound. There is no membrane system. They just lie freely in the cytoplasm. Example, phosphate granules, cyanophysin granules, and glycogen granules. Now there are some vacuoles which has gas in it. These are called as gas vacuoles. They are found in blue, green, and purple and green photosynthetic bacteria. So this was all about the prokaryotic cell. In the next video, we are going to deal with eukaryotic cell. This is a very, very important chapter, and even the prokaryotic cell part is very important. Eukaryotic cell part is a bit complex, so we'll be dealing with all the organelles in it. One by one, we'll see all the structures of all the organelles. If you have any doubt regarding prokaryotic cell, you can contact me. And before moving into prokaryotic cell, make sure that you are clear with your points of, before moving to eukaryotic cell, make sure that you are clear with all the points of prokaryotic cell. Because the comparison is very, very important. You should know the differences, the similarities in prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell. So till then, have a nice day and take care.